If you're in this space where you're looking at your life and you're like, there's nothing good for me going into 2025. If you're looking at it, your relationship fell apart, your marriage fell apart, maybe your wife cheated on you, maybe he's the one who got away and you can't get her back, and you're just looking at your life, you're looking at this empty house, you're looking at your kids and half the time you're going to have with them now, and you're looking into 2025 and you're like, I don't have anything to look forward to, this video is for you. Because we're going to make that pivot right fucking now. Right now, make the commitment that by the end of this video, you're going to pivot your mind, you're going to pivot the way that you're going to look at your life, you're going to pivot the context and container from how you operate as a man. Why? Well, how long do you want to be miserable? How long do you want to be thinking about her? How long do you want this anxiety driving you up the wall? If the answer is another 2 weeks, then just go and watch another video. But if you want to go figure this out right now, and I'm sure that you do, keep sticking around. Because here at Genuine Attraction, I don't put up with this shit. You shouldn't put up with it. You shouldn't put up with your emotional state falling apart and going into what we call stupid think, which is this victim mentality of, oh, it's so bad and everything's terrible and I'm never going to find another woman and women are bitches and they just... No, dude. You create your reality. And your situation is a function of all the thousands and millions of decisions you've made, yes, no, your entire life until you came to this point here watching this video. And thank God you said yes on the last question, because you're still watching this video, which means that you're already leaning into the commitment to move forward into your power. My name is Ed Baxter, and I help guys in betrayal situations. I've coached thousands of men. Tens of thousands of men have come through my doors in one form or another. I've had over 3,000 guys come through the Betrayed to Badass program. And that's what we do. We'll get you to that place where you make the right decision for you and your children. And so yes, you're gonna have anxiety, you're gonna have pain, you're gonna have thoughts of, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I'm ever gonna find another woman, I'm gonna be alone, is this divorce gonna take everything from me? Is life gonna take everything from me? Am I ever gonna see my kids again? And going and indulging in that kind of thinking just puts you in this place of more pain. And so realize that all that thinking right there is stories that you've manufactured in your mind, and you're telling yourself these stories over and over and over again, hoping that they're not true, and this is why your anxiety goes through the roof. Your stories are controlling your mind and your life. Make no mistake, yeah, there's some shit happening outside of here, but most of the action is happening in here. And then it drives down into your solar plexus, and you feel this massive anxiety that makes you want to puke. And so when you're going into this, look at your stories that you're having in your head. Yes, you have to acknowledge the pain. You have to allow it to process. You have to feel it. But the problem is most guys don't do that. They do one of two things. One, they go into sedation, or they numb out with alcohol, sex, drugs, marijuana, video games, porn, prostitutes. And guys will numb out on this shit. They'll even numb out on work. They'll even numb out on being super dad. They'll even numb out on trying to make their wife happy, instead of looking within, the pain within that's actually driving this behavior that's causing the conflict in a relationship, or this nice guy behavior, these people pleasing, this codependency. Acknowledge that pain, allow it to be there, and allow it to resolve itself. But don't be adding stories to it, indulging in it. You're just doing masochistic behavior and what we call stupid think. It's like a stupid think, right? So like look at what your kids are doing when they're afraid of the dark. They're in the room and they get scared. They saw something in a cartoon or TV. They're like, there's a monster in the closet. And they sit there in the dark and they wig themselves the fuck out. We all know there's no monster in the closet. And we're like, look, there's no monster in the closet and all that stuff. The thing is, the kid is engaging in stupid think. It has a story in their mind, and they just keep letting it rehearse until they wig out. And now, because they're wigging out, they need you to be there with them the whole time. You're like, this is kind of ridiculous. I'll be here for you to help you feel safe and all this stuff. But that's not the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem is the child had a story, and they wigged themselves out over the story. And so for you thinking about your wife, you thinking about your kids, divorce, and all this stuff is unnecessary. You're like, well, Ed, it is important. I got to think about it. Yeah, but you already thought about it like 14 times. Usually the things that has to happen is just like, there's like one or two key things that have to happen, and you've already made the decision of what needs to happen, or you're afraid to make a decision, and so the rumination story keeps going on, and you just go into this rumination cycle. And so we call that stupid thing. 99.9% of the thoughts surrounding aren't helpful at all, so it's best to push those thoughts and move into a new direction. And so we want to redefine that narrative. Every time you go back into this victim mindset, we have to say, no, I'm not a victim here. I chose all the things that got me to this point. I am the center of this problem. No, I didn't choose for my wife to cheat on me. No, I didn't choose for her to fall out of love. There's some things that then can victimize you for certain. But to come back and say, I am a victim and I am being victimized, doesn't help you. What helps you is redefining and reframing everything like, okay, what can I do now? Like, what can I control and what can I take advantage of now to move forward? And if I can't move forward, I need to push it out of my mind. In other words, what are the things that I can control and what are the things that are important? And when those two match up, that's what we focus on. Some things are important, but I can't control it, so we don't worry about it. And some things I can control, but not that important, we're going to leave it alone. And so only what's important and what you can control, when that Venn diagram, when those are together, that's what we focus on. And then we focus on solutions, not the ruminating, stupid thing stories. They don't help you. All they do is keep you into inaction, and they lock you the fuck down. Then once you've decided to take some steps and some actions, redefine what it is that you want. Like, what is it that you actually want in your life? Because most of the time, it's not just to get this woman back or the family back. It's something deeper. Like, guys are looking at this as their value. They're looking at this as their failure in life. And so they're letting the stories of their definition of who they are control them. And so you have to create this new vision for yourself, this new compelling vision. You have to redefine who you want to be and then get after it. That could be anything. That could be going to the gym. That could be starting a new business. That could be changing the way you dress. It could be literally anything. And so what we need to do is just start stacking wins. Why? Because men thrive when they're winning and they're under challenge and under the gauntlet. If you're under the gauntlet and you're winning, you're going to skyrocket your self-confidence and self-assuredness. And that's what we have to start to elicit. And so when you're over there and you're talking to the wife or you're talking to the toxic ex and she's beating you down all the time, there's a sense of losing all the time. And so we have to offset that with wins in your life, things that you're overcoming in your life. That's why going to the gym is helpful. That's why journaling is helpful. That's why going in and working on your emotions is helpful. Because in these endeavors, you're winning. And we want to outpace all this bullshit over here with all the winning over there. And if you haven't noticed, the fourth action is taking action. Yeah, you've acknowledged the pain. 2, you've redefined what it means. 3, you've set a goal and a vision for where you want to go. And 4, it's about taking action. I can't tell you the number of guys who like to sit in the realm of mental masturbation, think about what they're going to do, get all hopium on this thing, and they don't actually work on it. And then they have to feed copium to themselves because they're not doing anything. And then instead of looking at themselves and saying that, okay, well, my results are a series of yes and no decisions, they go and they blame something else. Well, my wife just took everything from me, and there's all the women are bitches, and like there's no good women out there, and like why am I even trying? And they go into this victim spiral, and then they start holding everybody in contempt, and then they live this life of just bitter resentment, and they don't ever get what they want in life. They just keep shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. But that's not you. You're not going to be that guy. Just like I decided not to be that guy back in 2015. I could have done that. Shit. I was cheated on back then too. I could have done all of that. I lost half the time with my kid, had to deal with all the financial hardships with it, but I didn't do that. I decided to move forward and leverage what I learned to make sure I didn't have worse decisions. In fact, I decided I'm going to do everything better than I did the first time. I'm going to find a better woman. I'm going to have a better family. I'm going to work on a better business. And I did all of those things. Why? Because I did exactly what I'm telling you to do right now. I live by what I preach. I'd be a liar if I didn't. It'd be ridiculous. You wouldn't listen to me. And you wouldn't see the certainty and conviction of what I'm saying anyway. It'd just be a bunch of like airy-fairy nonsense, a bunch of mental masturbation. And so we cannot go into this place of like, I'm just going to think about it. We have to actually take action. So by the end of this video, I want to see you take some action. And you take action by reclaiming your masculine power. What does that mean? It means learning to lead yourself like you should have led the relationship that you let fall apart. And that relationship fell apart because you weren't leading. You were either absent or you abdicated responsibility to your wife. Both of those situations leave your wife in a situation where she feels unsafe, or you get with a woman who takes advantage of you with toxic behaviors. And both of those situations means that you weren't leading yourself. And so leading yourself means making a decision to move forward today, to move into power. And if you're at this part in the video, now is the time to double down on that commitment to yourself that we talked about in the beginning of the video. And when you do that, when you finally make that decision, it's time to surround yourself with high-performing men. Men who have also made that decision in their lives. Men who have committed to the process of growth in spite of all their world burning down around them. And if you want a community like this, the Broken and Badass community is for you. This is the place that guys come when their wives betray them. And they turn around into their power within just a couple of weeks. And then in 2 months, they are generally firing on all cylinders. They're like, Ed, I had no idea that you could do this. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, let's go. And then they move forward. And so the process of getting your wife back and the process of moving on are actually exactly the same. Why? Because we don't need to worry about your wife. Yeah, she's going to do some shit, but if we get you into your power, now you have the opportunity that maybe she'll want to come back. But oftentimes, guys don't really want her. Once a guy moves into this much power and he breaks that codependent cycle, he looks at her and he's like, holy crap, this is what I've been trying to do. This is what I've been holding out for. This is what I was holding to such high esteem. This woman who's out partying and sleeping with every guy in town. What am I thinking? How is that a good example for my kids to keep being with somebody like this? And it's like, well, brother, I think you're absolutely right. And so most of the time the guy doesn't want to come back. Why? Because I'm not in the business of necessarily saving your marriage. I'm in a business of helping you save yourself. To take radical responsibility, to pivot your life massively in as short a time frame as possible. Therapists are absolutely incorrect in thinking that it takes months or years to decades to fix emotional problems. No. We have demonstrated time and time again at Genuine Attraction, it only takes days and weeks at most. Sometimes you might have a deep-seated, long childhood trauma that might take you a few months, maybe a year or so. But for the most part, we get this shit handled now. Why? Why the fuck not? Like, why wouldn't we do it this way? We found a way to do it, so we just do it. So anyways, brother, you probably need to consider joining the Broken to Badass program. The link is in the description below. If you've had a relationship that's fallen apart now, your wife is leaving you, or you can't seem to find another relationship, or you're in this bitter place where like all women are bitches, dude, we can turn this around really quick, and we can have so much attention and thrown at you from the opposite sex, it's ridiculous. Not only that, there are so many women that are just dying for a powerful guy to just step forward, and they just can't find him. Why? Because society is teaching men to not be that guy. And here at Genuine Attraction, we're going to do the opposite. So I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.